President Trump has lost control of the conversation over Jeffrey Epstein. Um, I wonder if we're in a situation where Trump is the new Nixon this time around.
I think it could really be one of the final nails in the coffin of confidence in our political system. It's not just a Democrat phenomenon. It's not just a Republican phenomenon.
It's Tuesday. This is a regular edition of Real Polling in Real Time with Zogby. And there's a lot of polling, not ours. We're coming up very soon. But today we're going to talk about some polls that others have done that are very telling. But, Jer, how are you doing this week?
I am spending a lot of time to make sense of what is light speed news. And just when I thought I made sense, there was just another major announcement within like 30 minutes ago, but we'll do our best to provide clarity.
All right. So I'm going to kick it off. And, you know, I do a weekly report card for the Washington Examiner, and I use a line in there that I'm going to explain. And the line in the Examiner was, are we one Saturday away from a Saturday night massacre? And for those who don't know the historical reference, we're going back to October of 73, the Watergate investigation kind of reaching its peak and almost end, and then revealed that President Nixon had been taping private conversations in the White House in the Oval Office. And then the battle shifted to the release of those tapes. And we got to a point in October of 73, kind of a stalemate, with the special prosecutor making a strong case that the tapes needed to be released for his case against President Nixon. President Nixon, and of course, and his forces opposing that. And so we get to this Saturday night in 1973, and Nixon contacts his attorney general, the attorney general, Elliot Richardson, and demands that the special prosecutor be fired. That would be Archibald Cox. Elliot Richardson of Massachusetts says no, and he resigns. That leaves then the deputy attorney general, William Ruckelshaus, who was ordered the same by Nixon, and Ruckelshaus refused as well and resigned. That then left the number 3 person, the Solicitor General, who became acting attorney general, fired the special prosecutor, and that is credited historically as the beginning of the end of the Nixon administration. Eventually, the tapes would be released. They were damning, and it was over. It took a while. It took about 10 months, but Nixon was effectively ineffective as president of the United States from that point on. And so bringing it up to speed, let's just say, number one, that President Trump has lost control of the conversation over Jeffrey Epstein. That is the news, and it's out of his control. That number two, it looks like in some way, shape, or form, those the files on Jeffrey Epstein and his relationship with the president will be released in some, as I said, way, shape, or form. And thirdly, we have the contradictory facts coming out. How close was President Trump and Donald Trump in the earlier years to Jeffrey Epstein? He says not at all. He says that this is much ado about nothing, but there does appear to be some damning facts there that he was, in fact, close to Jeffrey Epstein. I am going to make the case, and I'm not going to predict, but I'm just going to suggest this is going to dominate his presidency. And if this dominates his presidency among MAGA leaders, you're getting even vocal supporters saying he's got to release all this information, and he's Donald Trump, not quite the guy that we thought he is. On the other hand, we do know in the polling that's out in the last few days that this Epstein issue is hurting him. His polling numbers have taken a tilt down into the low 40s, which is significant. Still strong among Republicans, 88, 89%, but it's among independents where he's now down by as many as 25 points, 59 to 31, 59 to 35, with the 59 being disapproving of his presidency. And we also know he's getting low marks now on the economy, on immigration, on handling inflation, on foreign policy. He has taken a real tumble. I, frankly, am not finding a way that he gets himself out of it. And that's why I wonder, given the state that he's in, which is real intense anger and lashing out at even his MAGA supporters, I wonder if we're in a situation where Trump is the new Nixon this time around.
Yeah. I was wondering what the historical analogy, I've been wondering that for the past couple days, and I think that's a pretty good one. I do think it goes beyond that. Let me just state frankly and starkly, I do believe President Trump is backed into a corner. But I do also believe that, on the surface level, the unfortunate thing is a lot of voters are processing this event in terms of Democrat versus Republican. Let me be even starker. Both Democrats and Republicans are implicated in this massive story, which is a crisis, which is so bad of a crisis. I think it could really be one of the final nails in the coffin of confidence in our political system. It's not just a Democrat phenomenon. It's not just a Republican phenomenon. It's one of those things that implies billionaires. It implies heads of states. It implies party leaders on the Republican side, on the Democratic side. I don't know if Trump is implicated, but it doesn't look good. But we know that a former president is implicated. And so this is really nasty. And what takes it to the even next level is that in the same week, the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it was this week or in the last week that this Epstein story was blowing up, and it was momentum in the favor of the Democrats, that then comes out, oh, we've got evidence that Obama is implicated in Russiagate, and that, in the highest powers and the highest ranks of the DNC, you will find Hillary Clinton and you will find Barack Obama, according to Tulsi Gabbard, were orchestrating this. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. I mean, if you really want to know the truth, I think all of this stuff is true. Everything we're talking about, I would guess is true, but that's not important. I'm looking at the effect. And so we are now back, full-scale political warfare, picking up right where we left off just months ago. It seemed to be like, yeah, it was intense after Trump won, but, the media didn't go after him as much as they did in 2016. And Democrats kind of, for a while were somewhat acknowledging their failure in their messaging and in the 2024 election. But here we are. We're back at the political warfare to the highest level, I think, that we've been in this modern era. And I don't think that it steps back. I think this is the point of no return. And so now we're marching towards the conclusion or the beginning of a conclusion of what is this new system going to look like. And so I can't help but think about a book that I just determined I was going to read last night. It's the last thing I was going to say. The great historian Jacques Barzun, who wrote this book about Western history called From Dawn to Decinence. And we are amidst this period of ultra decadence, and it's playing out in our national domestic politics, and it's playing out in the international scene. And boy, this is the stuff of what goes down in history books. We're living in it right now.
We are. It's a revolutionary period, as I've said many times and written as well, but it is also a period where things are coming apart. And that includes, let's bring it back to to domestic politics, where both parties are not simply broken, I think irreparable. And just to bring it to its original focus, let's take the metaphor of rats. Some have D on their sweatshirts and some have R on their sweatshirts, but they're rats nonetheless. The reason why they are relevant to us is that the D rats, one of their presidents left the presidency 25 years ago. Another left the presidency 8 years ago. We are focused on the R rat, who has announced, and up to this point was borne out, that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue at noon and get away with it. And we are at a point now, just narrowly within the confines of domestic politics, where he may be wrong, that his presidency is in real trouble. And I say even further, because I agree with everything that you just said, but even further, for the Republican Party, a lot of the support that they have today is Donald Trump focused. If something were to happen that Donald Trump were to leave office, I don't think that President J.D. Vance has the capacity to build the kind of reservoir or goodwill around his presidency and around his persona that Donald Trump has with MAGA. And so if with Trump out of the picture, I think we've got a Republican House of Cards. And yes, we already have a Democratic House of Cards. We do. This is where I think we both see that this is a crisis, but I just want to focus on the short term. I think we are at a tipping point right now that we need to be following day by day.
Yeah, I just think I agree with you. I said earlier, if you ask my personal opinion about the implications of about DNC leadership being behind Russia, the Russiagate hoax or the Russiagate, whatever you want to call it, and then all the way on the other side, the Epstein files, and it including top-level Republicans and top-level Democrats. I say all of the above. And I will say this, how do I believe that it's very simple. J. Edgar Hoover was a master at the use of blackmail. And if that was the case in the 60s and the 70s, do you think in the 2020s that we don't have that going on right now? Of course we do. The last thing I will say, I think the bigger picture of it, though, what happens next in this very potential downfall of President Trump, and it would take something, I think, unbelievable, maybe even miraculous to turn it around. I think the next level of it all is that next level of political warfare. And so my question is, and I will answer it, is which party will declare checkmate? I don't think either. I think they've both been checkmated.
I think they've both been checkmated too. But I beg the original question. Are we one Saturday away from a Saturday night massacre? That's all I got to say.
Well, it was a lot.
Life goes on. Have a good week.
Yeah.